UgandaEyenkya.
Finance to study and give Parliament information relating to various funds. If you allow me, I am looking at the Minister for Finance as a cook hired at a function. If you don't give him enough food, you don't blame him that guests are complaining. The Honorable Musasizi was assigned by President MU7, who for the last 8 years has failed to grow the economy. He begins juggling one fund to pay this, to pay this. The procedure issue I am raising is whether that committee can also, in addition, be assigned to study the impact of one man's rule for the last 38 years and what it has done to the economy. The temperament or the conduct of a particular home where you have gone. I think Parliament is devoting too much time discussing emotionally about this issue. Until we have stopped the vulnerabilities, forcing girls to go and work as maids, there cannot be standards, including the recruitment agents. You are just blaming them for no reason. Each home treats people differently. There are those who are going to abuse them. There are those who are going to beat them. I want to make the same argument I made when we were complaining that South Sudan was chasing borders. The last time we had the parliamentary games in South Sudan, we interacted with the Ugandan embassy. The embassy told us there is more than 1 million Ugandans in South Sudan that has just emerged out of war. More than 1 million. Until we've dealt with the real issues that are forcing people to go and work as maids, what they go through are not issues that you can solve as a parliament. Maybe the preliminary issues, Mr. Speaker, that we can deal with. And I'm now speaking in general terms.
Can we have the attention of the minister?
The preliminary issues that we can deal with is the quick evacuation. And I want to propose, Mr. Speaker, because you remember when the Honorable Janet Mukwaya brought a report here about the same subject matter. She told us that year when government put a ban, and MPs were emotional here, and government put a ban. When there was a ban, 40,000 girls arrived in Oman. When there was a ban, 40,000 girls arrived in Oman. So the proposal I want to make, Mr. Speaker, let us be present in these areas where they are. We have no embassy, not even a consulate in Oman. Saudi Arabia is such a vast country. Girls who are abused in in Jeddah, it will take them 12 hours on a bus to go to Riyadh. Now that the amount of money we are receiving from these girls is as the figures given in this report by the Committee on Gender. Because this money, if you look at the economy, it is more than the money we get from all the crops exported, including coffee. Let's put, instead of quarreling with the recruitment agencies, let's put a fund for quick evacuation, and let's put some small offices in all these big cities where they go and work, and then deal with the problems as they emerge. But I can tell you can be as emotional as the 9th Parliament. What it did was to say, ban, no going. When there was a ban, 40,000 arrived in Oman. In Ethiopia, there was even a demonstration. The government put a ban, and the girls went on the street, we want to go, because there are no jobs. So we should stop dealing with this matter in an emotional way. Let's try to help whoever gets into trouble, because the report says you have nearly 200,000 girls in Saudi Arabia. So if 1 or 20 of them are abused, you deal with the abuses. Otherwise, just imagine a day when Saudi Arabia says 200 girls go back to Uganda. Oman says does this thing. Dubai, you're going to be in a crisis. Warrants worth 46 trillion were issued. The budget was 48 trillion. the warrants to spend issued were only 46. But the most important for you to note is that actually the money that was eventually spent was 39 trillion. The money that was actually spent at the closure of the financial year was 39 trillion. You approved the budget, 48 trillion. They issued warrants, 46 trillion, but the money spent was 39. You need to take care of three things: the budget that you pass, the warrants that are issued, giving authority to spend, and the money that is available. What this government does is to excite everybody, including Parliament, that there is money when actually there is no money. Because even the budget of 48, when they brought supplementaries, it ended up being 52.5 trillion when you add the supplementaries. So someone hearing, he thinks Uganda has a 52 trillion for a budget. And then the warrants issued 46, less than now the 52 eventually. But the money that was available, because at the end of the financial year, only 40 billion was unspent balance, only 40 billion. So even if all the authority issued to spend had been honored, there was no money. And you can see, let me give you a micro example. You hear, I'm going to use ourselves here, that finance, they even issue press statements, finance has released 49 trillion for the quarter. What actually they are releasing is air. 4.9 trillion. What they are releasing is air. So as a result, the Auditor General gives the authority and then the minister a warrant to spend. When the actual spending begins, there is no money to spend. So you send the invoices and everything to finance to spend, there is no money, they stay there, the system has collapsed, now there is no electricity, now there is no this. And that's why I have told you at the end of financial year of a budget approved of 48 trillion, only 39 was the actual money that was spent. So that's the point that the Honorable Professor Mushemeza was addressing here yesterday, a realistic budget. Please stop exciting Parliament. Stop exciting the public that you have money that you don't have. And Parliament, I want to caution you colleagues, please stop approving air. There is no, because you can imagine the differences between 52 trillion and the actual money spent of 39. How much trillion is that? But you approved to go and spend. And Musasizi and his technical people, my friend here, knows that actually this money is not there. But they will come here and load everything. You are excited. They have included my road at the end of the financial year. That's a debate you have had this evening. Emergency here, there is no money. Then Musasizi says, Honorable, don't worry, for emergency there is money. The money is not there. They come and deceive Parliament, deceive the public. And that's why for me I thought the most, because these statements that I'm reading, this is the report of the Auditor General, page 30, page 7, page 6 of this report that we have here. So the Auditor General is looking at the budget approved, warrants issued, and then the money that is spent. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, before we quarrel that these warrants were in transit, there was no money. Even if all of them had been honored, there would be no money. And that's why the domestic areas now, domestic areas have moved to 5.7 trillion according to the Auditor General. Because the warrant has been issued, you can spend, and actually you issue invoices, services are delivered, and finance, and the Honorable Musasizi knows that actually there is no money there to pay. At the end of the day, the domestic areas are growing. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I think maybe for the first time, it's good that this information has come. When we are looking at the budget, let's approve only a realistic budget and stop approving broad figures just to excite people that Uganda has money when we don't have it.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Mr. Speaker, let me conclude. And I want to ask, through you, Mr. Speaker, if you can allow our committees, especially the one on finance, to do a study of like the last 3 financial years. Tell us how much money was approved, the warrants that were issued, which means simply authority to spend, and actually the actual money available that was spent and balance. Because if you have balance of 40 billion, but the difference between the budget and the warrant issued and the actual money is in trillions, it actually means that you are just exciting us for no reason. Such that when they return with the budget and later the appropriation bill, this parliament is able to say, please don't do to us what you did last year. Let's just budget for what we have, because these projections are easy. If for the last 3 financial years you have not had money to spend, but you approve money, and the difference is 10 trillion, please, you just have to remove 10 trillion from your budget. Instead of 52, then you have 40. When you spend 39 trillion out of 40, it is realistic. But how can you raise a budget through supplementary? It goes to 52. No, let me conclude. You'll explain, because you are more knowledgeable in the area than myself, and these are your figures. You have a budget eventually of 52 and you have spent 39. So, Mr. Speaker, that is my prayer to government, not to excite us, tell us exactly what we have and we budget accordingly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. During the promulgation of the 1995 Constitution, there were soldiers in Parliament representing the UPDF. 3 of them, General David Tinyefuza, late Lieutenant Colonel Serwanga, Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, gave their opinion on the return of parties. The Commander-in-Chief wrote, and I still have a copy, guiding that military people should actually be listening posts. They should not say anything because they can cause the country problem. Mr. Speaker, there is a case in the High Court against General Muhoozi Kainerugaba getting involved in partisan politics. Yet his father guided clearly that military people can only, so General Weru should never say anything here, you just listen and go home. Mr. Speaker, I seek guidance from you. The matter of General Muhoozi Kainerugaba addressing rallies, supporters addressing rallies, is a matter now before a court. But there were also
please, Honorable colleagues, let's just finish.
I don't know why the Honorable Nandutu is boiling. Mr. Speaker, the guidance I seek from you, I have seen reports mainly in the social media of you, our leader, canvassing support and even thanking the people for being there for a military officer, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is before a court for violating the Constitution and the guidance given by the Commander-in-Chief. In fact, if you recall, when former Army Commander General J.J. Odongo was appointed minister, this parliament refused to approve him for more than 2 months. Eventually, that changed. If it didn't, General Katumba Amala would never have been a minister, but the Constitution was thrown just like that. So the point, Mr. Speaker, whether you are aware that there is a case in, because I don't want to see my speaker being dragged to court as a witness that is part of the MK who are violating the Constitution, as it is being circulating in the social media that the speaker not only is a member of MK, but is canvassing support for a serving military officer. So I thought, Mr. Speaker, as our leader, we have a duty to defend you.
Honorable colleagues, when you occupy our offices, you must have a thick skin. Yeah, all things come and you rough them off and you go on. That's how we survive. Otherwise, you start swallowing a Panadol over comments for nothing. So these are things we are used to. They come and go. But on a very, very issue which Honorable Semujju, my brother, has raised. Number one, I never attended any event where my brother Muhoozi Kainerugaba attended and addressed a gathering. That's number one. Number two, the youth from my district who are my voters had what they call a baraza, okay? And part of that baraza was also to appreciate their friend. There was no declaration of anyone that the youth of Mitoma have resolved he's going into politics. There was no declaration on anything. It was a baraza. People had football, people had a bicycle competition, people were happy, and people are excited over one of their fellow young people, and they see a bright future in him. Now, who am I to start judging them? These are my voters. No, to me, it's very honest, you know. So, to me, I really do believe that Honorable Semujju, in case I'm chosen, will be the first person to defend me for attending, because I never committed any crime.
The clarification I am seeking, if the Honorable Bart can allow you to listen. You have said if there is an emergency, that money can be released immediately. So do we now all list emergencies in our constituency? Because you have said if it is an emergency, that money can be found immediately. That's the clarification I wanted.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good speech. Actually, the front bench, once it accepts our clarifications, the House moves on very well. With your guidance, Mr. Speaker. I think...
So that is indirect taking over?
No, with your guidance,
please,
Mr. Speaker, sir.
You're the final one.
Mr. Speaker, the issue of saying that they have managed emergencies is unprecedented. And I would pray that the minister says that at least they have tried. In Kalungu, we have a road from Gomba through Chamuliwa, where Katonga broke, and the people are using boats to cross a river. And the best evidence is the Honourable Minister next to you on your right. He can tell you because that was his constituency. He crosses using a boat with his vehicles and the lead cars. So, if you talk about trying emergencies, these members of parliament, Mr. Speaker, have always raised matters of national importance, and the results are not they are not yielding. So I would pray, Mr. Minister, sir, that maybe you say you are trying, but in actual sense, you are not trying. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we are trying, and we have provided 570 billion to handle the emergency at Katonga, and the work is going on. Mr. Speaker, my last point was the Katuna-Muko road is one of the roads which we have provided funding for tarmacking, and I want to thank this House for passing the loan. Thank you.
Thank you. Under Committee of Finance. It should be the relevant committee to handle this issue. I gave Committee of Finance 2 weeks to report back on this matter. Honorable
Uganda Eyenkya.